BBC CWR.
Vic Minett.
The sound of Cov.
Together, we can make a difference. BBC CWR.
Right then, let's celebrate marvellous memories. Sitting on the floor in Mum's living room with our Sega Master System, playing Alex the Kid and this, Sonic the Hedgehog. And Sonic the Hedgehog celebrates his 30th birthday today. Wow. 30 years since we were running across the Green Hill Zone. I messaged my sister about it this morning and said, I can't believe it's 30 years. And she said, no, happy times. But Sonic the Hedgehog, of course, went on to be the face of Sega and, of course, really catapulted video games into the modern mainstream. There's going to be a new game, by the way, on Nintendo Wii, released as part of the 30th birthday a little bit later on. But Sonic the Hedgehog was sort of the gateway, wasn't it, into gaming for so many people. Was it yours? 0800 75 65 200. Or actually, was it something that came much earlier? Now, I know a lot of the boys in our school had their Spectrums and things like that. What was the one that had Daley Thompson's Decathlon? You know, to try and make Daley Thompson run really fast and do things. I can't remember which one that was. And the Amiga, of course, whatever it was that got you into gaming, even if it's recent and you just tiddle about with games on your phone, we need to know. 0800 75 65 200. For example, Alec Blackman of this parish, our newsreader, started playing with Combat on the Atari 2600 before he moved on to the Mega Drive with Madden. The American football games, of course, huge cult hits. 0875 65 200. And you honestly, you can lose yourself into such a big rabbit hole with games, but it can also be a huge career. Now, the music of Sonic the Hedgehog is hugely evocative. One man that knows all about music in games is our next guest, Ross Tregenza, who's worked for the last 20 years in the video games agency. Good morning to you, Ross. Now, of all of the things you think of the games industry, it wouldn't occur to me that, of course, they need a composer. Good morning to you.
Good morning. It's a huge part of the games industry, and as the games industry's got bigger, then more music's needed. It's become a real sort of phenomenon in itself, and people love the music, and also, obviously it evokes so many memories, sort of like things like Sonic and stuff like that.
Oh no, honestly, listening Sonic, all of a sudden I'm in a different place. I can see the colours on Mum's really big old blocky TV, sitting on the carpet as well, playing with my sister and just having a blissful time. How did you come to be a video games composer? It seems quite specific.
Yeah, it's well, you see, I grew up as a little video game nerd in the 80s on my Commodore 64, and I was just really obsessive about it. I absolutely loved it. And as I got older, I got into music. I was in bands trying to be on Top of the Pops and stuff in the 90s, which obviously never happened. But at some point, I kind of realized those two worlds don't have to be separate. And I met a guy who was already a video game composer. At that point, in about 2000, there was very few of them around the country, so it was just dumb luck, really. He was a fan of my band, and I was a fan of his video game music, and we started working together, and that was the beginning of my career as a games composer.
So take me through it then, because can't be as easy as just writing a song and chucking it in. You need to punctuate what the game's about, don't you?
Well, yeah, it's quite tricky, and as the games have got bigger, obviously it gets trickier. Like it used to be a few friends in a room working on the weekends making a game, and now it can take 1,000 of us 7 years to make a game.
Wow.
It's a very different process. But it's broken into kind of two different jobs as well. You got the music, and then you got the sound effects. Like obviously with good old Sonic, you got that ring collect sound, which that ka-ding, which is so iconic. And when I was working on the Sonic game, I thought I would try a little twist on it and make it a little bit different. But Sega said, no, that's iconic. And
that
in
stays.
retrospect, they were right. Yeah, they were completely right. I agree with them in retrospect.
Well, yeah, hindsight is a wonderful thing. So, what happens then? It's done by committee, presumably? You all sort of have to agree what things sound like.
Well, yeah, it's kind of different from project to project. If we're making a game for our game studio, I work for Sumo Nottingham, a pretty cool games company in the Midlands. And if we're making a game that's more, we have more control of and more open for what we do with it, then I kind of just go with what I feel is right. But when you're working on something like Team Sonic Racing that we did for Sega, then there's a lot more people that like back in Japan and stuff like that need to have buy-in with what we're doing. And I even had the Jun Senoway, who's the head composer for all Sonic games. He came over to the UK specifically to sit with me for a week and just make sure that we definitely were in line with my thinking on what I was doing and stuff. And that was a real honor.
I bet it was. What do you see before you start making the music? Do you see, like, is there a sort of completed it, mate, geek in the corner who plays the whole game and you watch it? Or do you just see pictures? How does it work?
You kind of have to, it's a long process making a video game. So you sort of have to be pretty fluid with it. And I always kind of come to it with ideas of what I'd like to do. And I'll present those to the art guys and the designers. And if, like with Sega, they're our publisher. So I present what I would like to do with them. But games change over the course of production. So I rarely end up with the same kind of style of music that I thought I was going to do at the beginning. You have to kind of move with it a little bit and just fit the style of the game. But it's always a pleasure. It's writing music for video games. I could never have dreamed I was doing this job. So
I know.
even if some days it's hard work, it's the good kind of hard work.
It's one of those. If you could go back to your little self and say, "This is what you're going to be doing for a living," yeah, little self would be very pleased.
Yeah, if I could get in a time machine right now and get back to 1985 and tell that a little kid in Cornwall what I was doing, he would go absolutely crazy.
Phenomenal. Do you ever? You must go into arcades and just cock an ear at your music going on all around you.
Oh, it's very nice to. Well, actually, because obviously not so much in the arcades now, but the thing is, what you get online is all the like Twitch streamers and people making videos on YouTube, and it's really heartwarming to go onto YouTube and if we release a new game and watch people playing and enjoying it with my music playing in the background, and occasionally there'll be nice comments about the music and that kind of thing. It's just really really life affirming to hear people actually enjoying what you do.
That must be an incredible feeling. So, best sort of game of all time. What's your favourite?
Well, my favourite game that I've worked on, a favourite game that I've played.
That you've played.
I think I'm going to have to go back to. Oh, this is so difficult. Well, when I was just a little 9-year-old boy with my Commodore 64, I was obsessed with the game The Last Ninja, which had an amazing music written for it by a guy who's just like a Commodore sort of master of music. And that really that music's been in my head since the 80s. And I think that really, sort of informed what I did as a career. But then there was the game Time Splitters on the PS2, PS3. I get my PlayStations mixed up. But that was the game that I ended up, I loved the first one, and I ended up working on the second one, and then a little bit more on the third one. So that game's really been a highlight of my career because I was already obsessed with it, and then I got to work on it, which is insane.
Brilliant. Listen, thank you so much for speaking to us. It's been a real honour. Ross Tregenza, games music composer. What a job. Did the music for Sonic the Hedgehog and more. What an extraordinary job as well. Isn't that lovely? Childhood dreams coming true. So chuffed. It just makes me happy whenever I hear memories like that from people. It's that, isn't it? It's that first moment where you pick up a joystick. We were talking about this in the office a little bit earlier on. Pong. Remember?